Showing you the new tank. It's a Evolution Aqua 1200S Pro, and this one's 400 litres plus the sump, and the sump is variable. It's got baffles so you can adjust the height. I've got it actually running at the lowest at the moment, so I'll show you the sump. It's 80 by 45 by 45 centimetres. Got the it's a Herbie method. It came with the pipes. So that's down into the first chamber. We've got the skimmer. It's looking a bit gunky. I've not emptied that out in 3 or 4 days. So let me see. We've got the refugium here in the second chamber. I started off with a bit of Kato that would fit in the palm of your hand. That was 2 weeks ago, and now comes all the way to the front there, goes all the way to the back. I don't know, it must be 20 times bigger than what I started with, and that's within 2 weeks. I've got a PAR 38. It's running 3 different LEDs. Off the top of my head, it's something like 460, 630 and 660, I can't remember, nanometers. 35 watts, and I have that running 16 hours a day on a reverse cycle. So it's on all night and off a bit during the day. I've got my pump reservoir here. There's a 6,000 litre an hour variable pump there. I have that running at just below halfway, so it's about 3,000 litres an hour. And my top off there, and my top off water in here. I've got the controllers up there for the skimmer and the pump. Obviously I've got the speed to vary, and I can turn like the pump off for feeding. Oh yeah, lights, nothing special. They're Fluval Marine C 2.0s, 2 of them, and a Wi-Fi controller. They sit on the top, so you don't have to suspend them. Quite neat. I have them running at about 50%, so I have them running on blue for a couple of hours in the morning, then the white's coming in over a 1 hour period. I have them ramp up to about 50% for 3 or 4 hours, and then I go back down to sort of 35%, and then back down to blues again. Blues only at about 75% for 2 hours, down to 0 on an evening. They do seem to create an awful lot of algae if I turn them up. They've got a lot of these red bulbs in them, and the reds I think might be what's causing all the algae, because if I turn the bulbs up it just gets silly. Fish wise, I've got in there a cleaner shrimp, a boxing shrimp, a bicoloured angel, a yellow tang, a pink wrasse, a yellow pink wrasse, I think start off yellow and go pink, a yellow-tailed damsel, 2 false clownfish, a little, I can't remember what they call them, it's like a little 1.5 inch, 2 inch goby, sort of 2 inches maximum size, and an algae blenny. What else have I got in there? I've got a sea hare in there, Sally Lightfoot, a pom-pom crab, a pistol shrimp. I think that's a bunch of snails, the usual really. You know, and all the critters that came in on the live rock. Oh, I've got a bubble tip anemone, sort of jammed himself in between a couple of rocks. Pulsating xenia, some polyps, nothing special, not yet anyway. I've not really added much in the way of soft corals. Not planning on having hard corals, maybe give that a year or so for the tank to mature. Haven't really cycled the tank because all of the sand and rocks came in from the previous tank, and I'm not having any problems with ammonia spikes or nitrate or anything like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a massive improvement over trying to run a freshwater tank converted. The sump's pretty much a godsend, makes life a lot easier. I don't know what the Chato's doing. I assume because it's growing so rapidly, that it's absorbing a lot of the nutrients out of the water, so it must be, because it's pretty ridiculous in size now, given that it's only been in there a couple of weeks. I've got masses of the stuff. There's loads of it, it goes all the way back here, look. So that must be feeding off something. I don't really want to run a reactor. I don't like the idea of running bio pellets, if I can help it. I know that's a really popular thing to do, but I don't know, something about that amount of organic waste going back into the tank, into the water, and having to skim it back out again. I don't know, it doesn't sound good. Oh, there's the gobies up there in the corner. And I can't remember what they're called now. So let me turn this back on. This will turn itself back on after 10 minutes, but I'll do it anyway. So as you can see, there's a good amount of flow. I've actually got a high door, couple of high door pumps and controller, like a wave controller. And I just kind of figured that there was no need, because I'm getting a lot of flow, and I don't think I need any more, to be honest. And if I need more, I can just turn the pump up. Like I say, it's only running, it's got 20 settings for speed, and it's running on 9, so just less than half. It seems to be set up okay, because the tank and the sump level up on their own. I don't need to adjust anything. Just takes a couple of minutes. Cabinet's really nice. The doors sit flush. This is in a bronze finish. I think we're about 15mm thickness on the glass. So it's quite chunky. Yeah, I don't think I'll add any more fish. I think he's probably stocked. I see a lot of people on the net with, you look at the tanks and they are just absolutely rammed. It's unbelievable. I don't know how they don't lose everything, to be honest. I mean, I know you can filter the crap out of a tank and add bio pellets and get the bio load up, but I don't actually like to see that. I'd rather see rock with a few fish swimming in and out of the rocks than a tank rammed full of fish, but that's just, my preference. Everyone's different. And the other thing is, as well, is that these fish aren't fully grown, so they're going to grow a little bit anyway. And I think by the time they've all grown, it's going to be about 34 fish inches, which is, I think that's a lot anyway for 450 litres. So 450 litres is about, I think it's about 100 UK gallons and about 125 US gallons. So if I end up with 34, 35 fish inches for that, to me that's more than fully stocked anyway, so I'm not looking to add anything to this tank. Maybe a bit more rock and obviously a lot more coral, soft coral. And then after a year we'll see how I feel. I don't know, I might add some hard corals. But then I've got to look into dosing, and that's still something that I'm looking at. I haven't quite got my head around that yet, because that's not something I've done before. And if I'm going to do it, I'd want to do it right. I don't want to be messing with the fish, and the water quality. Water changes, I'm doing basically about 50 litre water change. I'm going to put this one off to once a fortnight, just because it's going to be a bit more of a job. I actually think the polyfilter will go a long way. Between that and the skimmer taking organic waste out and the Purigen, I don't think a couple of weeks in between water change is going to matter much, especially with it not being overstocked. Yep, so that's the EA 1200 Reef Pro.